I'm going to give you the West, and I'm going to give you, what's the other one? I'm going to give you the East from now until 9:30. Do yourself a favor. Get yourself a freaking pen and a bracket. I'm not showing you my bracket. This is my bracket. Whoop, nope. And we're going to fill it out right here on the screen with my man Dylan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the West bracket. Now, the number 1 seed is Gonzaga. The number 1 seed deserves to be Gonzaga. The number 2 seed, is Duke. I'm not sure the number 2 seed needs to be Duke, but they are. As one of the many things that ESPN used to get mad at me about was I always said, hey, look, they're going to tell us. I know we got to get Joey Brackets in here. I know we got to get all these guys, but they're going to tell us. All right, remember, I am doing this based on performance, and if you fill this out like I'm filling this out, chances are you're going to win. I've only won one in my life. Pat McAfee years ago, before Pat McAfee blew up. He was good, but now he's crazy. Has me on his show, and I give it to him. Boom, boom, boom. You know what Pat did? Pat won himself a trip to Vegas. You know what I got it out of it? Nothing. Nothing. He lives right over here. I ain't happy about it. But anyway, all right, I'm only going by teams that are playing well. I'm taking coaches I don't like out of it. I'm taking teams I don't like. I'm taking coaches I got past history. All of it's gone. Like Elaine Bennis, gone. All right, the Zags. The Zags are the number 1 team. Put them up there, Dylan. The Zags, in my opinion, will roll. Georgia State, I like Rob Lanier. The Zags, I don't think there is a better team in the country right now. They're big enough. They're strong enough. They got shooting enough. They play fast enough. But I will say this. They are not overpowering. They're not overpowering. I know they got 2 big guys. I know Holmgren's a really good player. He's the narrowest shoulder really good player maybe I've ever seen. I mean, when you see Anthony Davis, he's like this. Right? When you see those guys in the Big Ten, they're like this. But Holmgren's really, really good. Georgia State, I watched them play. I'm not going to give you a lot of time on him. Rob Lanier, really good coach, got a second chance at being a head coach. He was the head coach at St. Bonnie. Now he is at Georgia State, won the conference. I really liked having him on my show, but they ain't beating Gonzaga. In fact, they're not even coming close. As we go through this, I might go to my gambling site and give you a little something, something. All right, next, Boise State and Memphis. This game is a situation. Now, this game, ladies and gentlemen, is a real situation. This game, both teams are playing well. I've watched Memphis. I think Memphis does a couple of things that are very underrated. One of the things that Memphis does that is underrated is defend. I mean, people act like Memphis is one of those teams that just throws the ball out. No, 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 no. Memphis will guard you. And Lester Quinones is the key to that. He is. He's the key to that. They will guard you. I expect this to be a very low-scoring game. Let me go through some things for you. In the Mountain West tournament, Boise State scored 71, 68, and then 53. They scored 53 against San Diego State, who hangs its hat defensively. It's pretty damn good. 68 against Wyoming, team Indiana's playing tonight, and 69 against Steve Alford's Nevada team. This is going to be a low-scoring game, which in truth doesn't bother Memphis even a little bit. Memphis can play it any damn way you want. Any way you want. I'm taking Memphis in this game because I think they're more talented, number one. And number two, they're on a roll. And number three, they guard you. They ain't afraid to guard you. They got beat by Houston. All right, let me back up a second. Let me give you something that you need to know. The hot team. People always say, man, this is an upset. Man, how did this happen? Well, I'll tell you how things happen. The hot team. The team that rolls through its conference tournament. Boise could win this because they are the quote-unquote hot team. Memphis lost in the final. The hot team doesn't lose in the final, but I like Memphis's talent too much in this one. All right, this next game gives me a little bit of angst. This next game, man, 26-6 is what New Mexico State is. 26-6. Now, here's the deal. My brain tells me, hey, look, you've been watching UConn this whole year. And if you watch UConn and if you watch Danny Hurley coach, you know two things. Number one, they're going to be prepared. 100% going to be prepared. Don't even talk about it. And number two, they're going to defend. Well, that ain't bad for New Mexico State. On the surface, people think maybe they don't know what's going on in Las Cruces, but Chris Jan's a pretty damn good basketball coach. Chris Jans was at Bowling Green, won 20 games with a snap of his finger, had a little problem left. He's been in the NCAA tournament now a couple times with New Mexico State. Chris Jans ain't afraid to play. The one thing that I'm looking at here, though, and I know there's a backstory, but I don't know what it is New Mexico State lost to a 6-win Chicago State team. And that was recent. That was February 26th. Then they went ahead and lost to Stephen F. Austin. Ran through their conference tournament, including a win against Grand Canyon, who is really good with Bryce Drew. Look, those two losses give me pause. I don't think UConn, I don't care what the situation would have been, whether it would have been COVID or injury, or I don't think UConn would have lost that to those two teams. So I'm taking UConn. That's kind of the buffer. That's kind of the I told you yesterday about Vermont. I told you. Vermont won their last 3 games in their conference tournament by 39, 32, and 39. I got it written right here. I actually have notes. 39, 32, and 39. Now, I want you to think about that for a little bit. Think about that. Now, we're trying to win a bracket here. You would think that you would take Vermont in an upset special. What do people like to see? People like to see the upset, right? They like to see the 4-13 upset. Not here. The Must-Bus and Keith Smart et al., too well coached. They play too hard. I'm taking Arkansas. And I don't want to, because my theory is who's playing really well, who's the hot team. If you want to change that in your bracket, you might win, and I might lose, because Vermont's the hot team. But in this one, I'm going with the coach. And this is what gets me in trouble in bracketology. I always go with a coach. I said I'm going with the hot team. If I was going to go with the hot team, I'd go with Vermont, but I just can't do it. I think the speed, how hard they play, Arkansas is going to take Vermont out of the game. I don't care whether it's Rutgers or whether it's Notre Dame. Does not matter to me. Whoever plays that team is going to win over Alabama. Just telling you. An 11-6 game. I'm going to take Rutgers. I think Rutgers, in their matchup against Notre Dame, they're very similar teams. They got a bunch of shot makers on both teams. Paul Atkinson, pretty good for Notre Dame. He can get it rolling inside. But the truth of the matter is, whoever makes shots is going to win this game, because that's what they do. Make shots. Don't do shots. Make shots. I think Rutgers. Texas Tech's going to trounce Montana State. Mark Adams is no joke. They're playing well, and he'll have them ready. Michigan State, Davidson. Michigan State, Davidson is interesting. Actually kind of fascinating. I talked about it yesterday. Davidson can really pass the basketball. I mean, they can sling it. Michigan State is not a normal Michigan State team. But remember, I said I am going to take the team that's playing well. And I really, really like way Michigan State is playing here of late. I do. I like it. I ain't mad about it. I think Michigan State has found a little something. Not good enough to run through the Big Ten tournament. Don't get me wrong. There's a big difference between being able to run through the Big Ten tournament. You got to be damn good, like Iowa's playing or Purdue's playing with their talent. But Michigan State good enough to beat, I think, Davidson. Duke's going to roll Fullerton. That's all I got. I was at Fullerton's campus last year. I kind of liked it. But Duke's going to roll Fullerton. I'm going to stay in the West. Now we got Gonzaga taking on, No. I got Texas Tech, Dylan. Texas Tech, I went quick, beating Montana. I went quick with that. All right, we're going back to the top now. We're going back to the top. Gonzaga and Memphis. Interesting game. Not as easy as one may think, ladies and gentlemen. Tell you why. Memphis got athletes. I watched Memphis go into Houston when Houston had a 37-game home win streak. The place was jam-packed. I was there. It was loud. They had Calvin Murphy going nuts. Memphis beat them. Memphis got down 5, knocked in 2 threes to take the lead, hung on like crazy, and beat them. I'm telling you, Memphis is good, but they ain't good enough. But this will be one of the best games in the tournament. I will be shocked if Gonzaga routs Memphis. I will be. If it's Boise, I won't be shocked. But if it's Memphis, I will be shocked. All right, next game, UConn and Arkansas. I'm going with the Razorbacks. Same reason I just said. They play too fast. They're tough as hell. They're well coached. And this seems to be a team for Eric Musselman. Jante is a good player, but it doesn't have a star. It seems like a together, connected crew. I'm taking them. And then I'm taking Duke to beat Michigan State. Again, another barn burner. Look, we all want to see Davidson Duke until we don't want to see Davidson Duke. I'm taking Duke over Sparty. I'm sorry, I did skip the one, didn't I? I did skip Rutgers and Texas Tech. I didn't buy Texas Tech early. I buy them now. I'm taking Texas Tech, Dylan, over Rutgers. Pretty much for the reason I just said. I think Texas Tech's just playing really well. I don't think Rutgers or Notre Dame are playing really well, and I don't think Alabama was playing really well. So you got to take one of the 3 teams, and I think Rutgers gets themselves going when it is big games. I've seen it numerous times this year in the Big Ten, whether it was beating Purdue when they were number 1 in the country. Rutgers has a toughness to them, so that's what I'm taking. And then, again, I told you, this gets a little chalky, right? I'm taking the Zags over Arkansas, and then I'm taking Duke over Texas A&M, or Texas Tech. It does get a little chalky. So, it is what it is. But the truth of the matter is, I've got Gonzaga against Duke in the final, in the West, and I got the Zags coming out of it. Again, people always say, hey, Dan, boy, that's really a daring pick. I'm not trying to be daring. I'm trying to win. Right? Aren't we trying to win? All right, so I got the Zags coming out of the West. Now we're going to head to the East. Look, Norfolk State, great story. The kid O'Quinn led them to a victory years ago. It ain't happening against Baylor. Baylor can lock you up at the guard position. And I'm not in love with Baylor as a 1 seed, but I'm in love with their guards, and I'm in love with how they defend. So, North Carolina Marquette. I was shocked when Virginia Tech beat North Carolina that bad. Marquette's got a nice team. Nice team. But here's what I like about North Carolina. Baycott and 3 others dropped 20 each in Cameron Indoor Stadium. Now, they're playing well. Yes, they got their brains beat out. Yes, Virginia Tech is on a hell of a roll. Hey, sometimes you can play and you just get beat against a team that's on fire. I mean, sometimes it just happens. No ifs, ands, or buts. But the truth of the matter is, I ain't mad at Carolina. When I watched them play Duke and then I watched them play Virginia, I thought to myself, hang on here. Dangerous 8-9 team after they got beat by Virginia Tech. I think they're going to beat Marquette, setting up a match with Baylor. Indiana, I'm a homer. I'm a homer. No question about it, I'm a homer. Don't at me. I am. I'm also a critic. I've told people, hey, all year Indiana has been bad, didn't look well coached at different times, but I'm taking them to not only win tonight, I'm taking them to go ahead and beat St. Mary's in I guess it's the first round. I don't know. I guess it's the second round they call it. But here's the deal with Indiana. The bigs for Wyoming are good. Ike or EK, really good. But that's kind of Indiana's strength. And you got to understand something. When Wyoming plays Indiana, you got to know that the last three post guys, three of the last four have been the biggest dude in the world, Zach Edey, the second biggest dude in the world in Hunter Dickinson, and then bigger than both of them except Edey. No one's bigger than Edey. Kofi Coburn. Now you got to understand, Indiana, when you play in the Big Ten this year, you're playing against mountains. And I love the way Jackson Davis is playing. So I'm going to take them to beat Wyoming handily. I already did. If they lose, it's on me. I will take all blame for all of your gambling losses. I won't pay you back, but I'll take the blame. And then they're going to beat St. Mary. I don't think St. Mary's athletic enough. Indiana's pretty athletic. I hope Jordan Geronimo plays. If he does, that's a big help. If he doesn't, that's a problem. UCLA is going to beat Akron, but Akron's a good story. John Gross has now taken Ohio University, Illinois, and Akron to the NCAA tournament. I was talking to Mike Lewis yesterday, the assistant coach of UCLA, and he likes where his team is, particularly with their toughness. He feels like their toughness is back. That convinced me. Look, Akron will play hard. Akron will give them what they got. But if UCLA doesn't look, and this is a problem, if UCLA doesn't just look at the jersey and say, oh, that's just Akron, but comes out to play with a purpose of getting back to the Final Four, they'll beat them handily. But that's a big if. Texas and Virginia Tech. I'm not going against Virginia Tech. I'm sorry. Look, I know there could be burnout after a run in the ACC tournament. But what did I tell you from jump? I told you that I'm taking the teams that are playing the best. And you tell me, you beat North Carolina, you beat the brakes off them, then you beat the brakes off of Duke back-to-back in the ACC tournament? Now understand the ACC tournament. It's the granddaddy of them all. Like back when the Big Ten was taking the team that won, this is in the 70s, I'm going way back. Every other league was taking the conference champ, putting them in the NCAA tournament, not the ACC. You could win the conference tournament, you could win the conference, but if you didn't win the tournament, guess what you were doing? You were doing what we're doing, sitting at home, getting a drink, watching it on TV. The granddaddy of them all, and Virginia Tech running through it like that, I'm just going to buy into it. Caveat time. Texas, remember last year? Texas lost to Abilene Christian. A lot of pride with Chris Beard. I guarantee you Chris Beard's letting everybody remember how that feeling was. Different staff, same school, same brand. Not going to be surprised if Texas beats them. In another year, I would take Texas. But that would be based on Chris Beard, not how teams are playing. Ain't nobody playing better than Virginia Tech, ladies and gentlemen. Purdue's going to wild Yale, although Yale will keep it close in the first half because they're really well coached with James Jones. They pass the ball. Dudes go to Yale. I mean, what are we doing? They're going to be smart. So just stop it, stupid. They're going to be brilliant. They're going to be smart basketball players. If they're not smart basketball players, why are you at Yale? But James Jones can coach them up. Yale's won a game in this tournament before. I ain't mad if Yale plays Purdue well the first half, but too much size. Murray State is on a roll. Y'all know the history of the San Francisco Dons? Late 70s, now way back, Bill Russell led them to NCAA championships. Casey Jones, Bill Russell. But as late as late 1970s, they had two of my heroes playing. Kid named John Hegwood from Gary Roosevelt and Wallace Bryant, a 7-footer. A lot of you that know basketball will know those names. And they had a dude named Quentin Daly. Quentin Daly brought the whole program down with a rape charge. Well, they were number one in the country, the Dons. They were must-see TV. Dons aren't back to that, but the Dons are pretty damn good, but they ain't handling Murray. Murray's one of those teams that plays fast, and they get into you. Like, they're just, how do I put it? Remember the guy you played against? Remember the guy you played against on the pickup court? You know, they're just into you. You're wondering if they're going to take a charge. That's Murray State. Kentucky's going to beat St. Peter's. That's all I got for you. I like Shaheen Holloway, though. I thought he was a good player. Back to the top. I'm going to take Baylor. I don't want to take Baylor, but I'm going to take Baylor. I think Baylor is too solid across the board for North Carolina. North Carolina, a little too flighty across the board, a little too up and down. But I'm going to take Baylor. Hate to do it. Indiana, UCLA, are you kidding me? What a matchup. I think the last time these two teams met was 1992 in the NCAA tournament in Albuquerque. UCLA had whooped our backside to start the season, first game of the year, beat us by 25. There was a storm outside the plane, true story, on the way home. There was a bigger storm inside the plane. Bobby and I broke the cloth on the plane we were flying ceiling. So we played them in the NCAA tournament to go to the Final Four, and Calbert Cheney and that crew beat them by 30. They had Murray, Tracy Murray, McLean, and all these guys. I think UCLA is going to get them. Purdue's going to get Virginia Tech. I like Purdue. I like Purdue too much. Oops, I got to cover my Indiana because I like Purdue. What are you doing with Indiana? And I think Indiana's going to have too much. Purdue's going to have too much. I think Virginia Tech's going to go back to where they've been. A good team. It'll be a good game, but Purdue will have too much. And there's no way in hell John Calipari and Kentucky are losing to an in-state rival. No chance. There are certain coaches that ain't letting it happen. And it ain't happening with this one. Murray's going to conclude a great year in the second round, third round, whatever it is in the tournament. But John Calipari is going to get him, and he's going to get him fairly big in the end. Baylor, UCLA, I've told you this before. I'm a Scott Drew fan. I wasn't. I am now. They'll guard. But I'm a Jaime Jaquez fan. Jaime Jaquez and his family stayed with us during the NCAA tournament last year. Great people. Again, talking to Mike Lewis. Feels like Tiger Campbell can beat a good defense. Miles Johnson, the transfer from Rutgers, is going to have to play really well in this game. He's going to have to take care of the backboard. And, of course, Jaquez and Uzang and Bernard and all the rest are going to have to. I'm going with UCLA, and it's going to be a UCLA-Purdue. I got Purdue beating Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's that good. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't think they're that good. I like them. I think they got the best draw of any 2 seed could possibly ask for. But I don't like them. I don't like them. That's not Boogie Cousins or John Wall or Jamal Murray or Devin Booker or Anthony Davis. That's not those guys out there, ladies and gentlemen. Stop it. No, that's not those guys. These guys are all right. But I'm taking the Boilers. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking the Boilers to go to the Final Four. This is a rematch. Let me go back. The name Rick Mount. Nobody a better shooter. Look him up. Telling you. Still, he was the only first schoolboy ever on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 1969. It's either 69 or 70. I get things mixed up. UCLA, Lou Alcindor, I think it was. It may not have been, but I think it was. Beat Purdue in the national championship game. And it's a rematch. I just think Purdue's got too much. This, again, I usually don't do this. I usually put in not Purdue. Purdue hasn't been to the Final Four since I was a junior in high school in 1980. They're going this year.